Hello and welcome. It's Michelangelo here. Now, if you're joining me, then I hope you're having a great day. I hope you're having a great time because I am, and I'm so excited for you to be a part of what I like to call the best team in the world. This is, of course, Team Jesus. Now, we come together and we share stories and we learn about what it's like to be part of Team Jesus. Now, today's story is an exciting one. I find it very funny and it reminds me of different times that I've had my favorite piece of clothing. I want you to think about what has been your favorite piece of clothing. Maybe it's a hat. Maybe you wear a hat and you love wearing that hat. I have a sister and she has a hat that she loves to wear, or she has her favorite pair of jeans that she loves to wear. Nowadays, you'll find even people have tears in their jeans. There's all different styles, but everyone's different, and you might have maybe a jumper or a shirt or something that you received. Maybe it was a gift. I can remember the different times when maybe my mom or my uncle or my family member, they got me something and I really loved it. You might have your favorite shoes. One really funny time, when I was 5 years old, I got a costume. Now, this costume was from my favorite superhero in the world, Batman. What's your favorite superhero? Maybe you like Spider-Man or Iron Man or Captain America. They're all very popular. But when I was young, Batman was my favorite. And I had the whole costume. I had a black costume. I had a belt. I had the mask. I had the little ears. I even had the cape. And I'd run around all day in this costume and I didn't want to take it off. In fact, I wore it every day and I'm sure it got pretty smelly. You might have something that you love and you just love to wear it every day. Our story starts with someone who wore the same thing every day. But this story is called The Stylish Giant. Our story starts with John the Giant. John is a giant who, like I was mentioning before, wearing your clothes for a long time, wore his favorite clothes. It was a large coat and some brown sandals. Now, he wore this so often and all the time that people would look at him and they would see the patches in his coat from when it was repaired, because he wouldn't change it. Now, people saw him and they thought maybe he was scruffy or dirty. And he thought to himself, I would like to be known for something different. Now, there was a new shop that opened in town. And they sold all the stylish clothes that you can think of. John the Giant thought that he could go in and buy some new clothes. So he did. He went in there and he bought himself a brand new white shirt. Very stylish. He bought himself some brand new trousers, a belt to go with those trousers, some shoes, some nice shiny black shoes, and some socks with a nice beautiful diamond pattern. He also bought himself a large, beautiful, stylish tie. Now, John the Giant, he left his clothes in the shop, his old clothes, his cloak, and his sandals, because he felt that he's wearing his stylish clothes and he's the most stylish giant in town. In fact, he left the shop singing to himself about how happy he was. Now, he continued his travels through the city and he came upon someone that was quite sad. He came upon an elephant. And he asked the elephant, "Why are you so sad?" And the elephant, with tears and sadness in his eyes, told him, "I'm sad because my trunk is so cold. I have such a large trunk, but no scarf or anything to keep it warm." John the Giant, in his generosity, took off his large tie, gave it to the elephant, wrapped it around his trunk, and used it as a scarf to keep him warm. "Keep it," John says. And the elephant was as happy as can be. John the Giant left singing to himself happily, knowing that he was still the most stylish giant in town. He continued his journey and he came upon a stream where there was a rabbit in a boat. But this rabbit was very upset again. John asked, "What's wrong?" And the rabbit told him of a story of him on his boat and a storm ripping the sail off his boat. Now, John the Giant thought he could help. He took off his shirt. He still had a singlet underneath, fortunately, and he fashioned his large shirt into a sail for the rabbit's boat. The rabbit was so excited, so happy. And John the Giant said, no, keep it, because he still felt happy knowing that he was the most stylish giant in town. Now John continued his journey and he came upon a very small animal. In fact, it was a small squirrel with its family. Now the squirrel was distressed, very upset, crying because their house had just been burnt down. John the Giant felt compassion, he felt care, he wanted to help them. So he thought, what can I do? He decided to give them his giant, brand new, stylish shoe. And the squirrels turned that into a house. The squirrels were so happy because they now had a house. And John the Giant, with only one shoe, had to hop away. But he was still singing his song and he was still happy knowing that he was the most stylish giant in town. Now we came upon another animal, a bear. This bear had his tent set up and he looked like he was ready to camp, but he was crying, he was sad. John the Giant, hopping along, asked him, what's wrong? And the bear said, I had a sleeping bag, but I dropped it in a puddle and now it's ruined, it's all wet, and I'm supposed to be camping, but I don't have my sleeping bag. Now, John the Giant, who had just given away his tie and his shirt and his shoe, he thought, why not? And he gave his sock to the bear. And a giant sock makes the best sleeping bag. This bear was overjoyed, so happy, and John the Giant continued hopping on his way, knowing that he was still the most stylish giant in town. Now he came upon a swamp with a cat with a backpack trying to cross. This cat couldn't cross it. Its paws would get stuck in the mud and it couldn't cross this swamp. And this cat was crying, and John the Giant, you can kind of see a pattern here, he can turn his clothing into gifts, said, what can I do to help? And the cat said, if only there was a pathway for me to cross this swamp. John the Giant took off his belt and he made a pathway for the cat to cross. And the cat crossed safely without getting stuck in the mud. John the Giant went along his way, hopping along, singing to himself, knowing that he was still the most stylish giant in town. However, the wind picked up, and as he was hopping along, the wind blew his trousers down. Poor John the Giant thought, I better go back to town and buy some more stylish clothes. So he hopped along all the way back to town, all the way to the shop, but he found that the shop had closed. He sat by the side of the shop, actually very sad, with a tear coming down his eye, and he felt perhaps what those animals felt in their time of need. Luckily, in the corner of his eye, he saw a bag, and in that bag were his old clothes, his large coat and his brown sandals. Without hesitating, without thinking twice, he put them on and he was so happy. He no longer wanted to be the most stylish giant in town. He felt like he was the comfiest giant in town. So he left his stylish clothes, he put on his old clothes, and he made his way back home. When he arrived home, he found a box that was addressed to John the Giant. He opened the box, and in it was a paper crown and a letter. And the letter was written by all the animals who he had helped that day. It said, even though your tie became a scarf for a cold elephant, even though your shirt became a sail on a boat for a rabbit, even though your shoe became the home for some squirrels, and your sock a sleeping bag for a bear, and finally your belt a pathway across a swamp for a cat, here is a paper crown to go with John the Giant, the kindest, most generous giant in town. That's the end of our story. That's the end of John the Giant, who used his clothes and his gifts to help people in his town. Now, the story of John the Giant has some lessons for all of us here as part of Team Jesus. We, like John, can share our gifts. What gifts have you been given that you can share with others? The best part about Team Jesus is we love one another and we share with one another. But I don't want you to just think about sharing your chips with mum and dad at McDonald's or at the shops. I want you to think about what's something special to you that you could share to another person. John the Giant gave his own shirt to help people in need. Jesus, when he was on earth, helped people in need. We can all do the same, and I encourage you to have a fantastic time today as part of Team Jesus, and I can't wait to share with you and see you again in our next episode.
A lot of talk in our church today about the new evangelisation, and we might ask, well, what's new about the new evangelisation? One thing that's new is that we're trying to renew the faith in people who should already be Catholic, should already be Christian. Individuals, families, communities, whole cultures that need to rediscover the gospel. And so what's new is that they're getting a new shot in the arm of faith, of evangelisation. Another thing that's new about it is the way that we do that. And the new media and groups like Shalom World TV are very important for bringing the gospel anew to our cultures, to our families, to each of us individually. And so I encourage all the viewers of Shalom World TV, and I encourage Shalom World TV themselves to keep up the good work, to keep watching this channel and to keep up the good work of presenting the Catholic faith to our world today.